Welcome to the bonus unit for onlinephpclass.com called Working with Files. And sometimes we want to ask the user for a file. Sometimes we want the user to upload it to our site. And so the file can be uploaded and then received by our servers, and then you can have access to it. Sometimes we want to do that. There are cases such as for ticket systems or email programs, social networking sites, and even web-based programs all around use it. I even wrote a web-based PHP program to manage a programming competition for a summer program that was hosting a programming competition. I wrote a PHP, a very powerful and intelligent system, and one of the key components of that was the teams would submit their finished product to the graders that were in another room, and they would all do it through the PHP system, and there was a files component to it. What made it really nice is as soon as the file got uploaded, we could then access it on the server and score it, and then go from there. And the system would then present back to the participant team the score, comments, and the like. And I really like that system. I don't have the code to it, and I don't have the code to it anymore that I know of. At least it might be somewhere in the archives here. But basically, what I really liked about it was the ability to fix issues along the way. I created a section of it. This was several years ago now. I created a section of it called the Whoopsie Editor, and what the Whoopsie Editor did was basically handled all of the potential mistakes that could occur for a particular team. Because I had worked with this summer program to host the programming competition for a couple of years, and one year I just dove in and enhanced the method that they were currently using to do scoring and completely rewrote the system, with the exception of, I think, the front end score page. Everything else was completely rewritten. And so the reason why I mentioned that is the key component, everything started with a file upload. So receiving files is very important. I mean, if you've used any kind of an intelligent PHP site, you probably had to upload a file of some sort. So here's one way to do it. What's really nice is you could utilize this bonus unit for things like putting out a I don't know, maybe an application for like an online form where you can write, for people to submit and apply to maybe a program you're hosting or something like that. And maybe you want them to submit a picture of themselves, or submit proof of payment, or submit some fun thing they did last summer or whatever. I mean, there's any which way that you can use files. So there are two ways to store files. All right, you can store them on the server, or you can store them in the database. Method one, storing them on the server, is simpler to implement, easier on administration, and you don't have to worry about database usage on size too much. Okay, so I want to just talk about that real quick. By the way, don't underestimate the power of either method. Method number one is the method I used for the programming competition because, first of all, I like it. I use that method all the time. And what's really nice is for the programming competition, they were uploading to a server that the graders had access to. And so when they uploaded, there was a neat kind of like a queue, and it would say, okay, new file uploaded, take ownership, or that kind of thing. And you would take ownership of it, and when you did that, it presented you with the information about the file, so that when you were on the server, you could then unzip the file, run the program, do whatever you have to do to test. So storing them on the server made it very, very easy. Storing them in the database, it literally stores them as binary large objects, or as a MySQL field called blob, which stands for binary large object, it would store them as a binary large object in the actual database. Now, what I'm talking about from a space perspective is if you're uploading a 1 meg file, okay, your MySQL database just grew by 1 megabyte, okay, if you're storing in the database. You're literally putting a megadata in the database, okay? Whereas if you're putting it on the file system is much, much, much easier to manage. You can't easily clean up or compress or whatever files in the database. So storing on a server is probably the way to go. If you're creating production applications, I mean, it's not a course to teach you all the ins and outs about production applications. It's a course to give you a foundation on PHP. So if you are creating production applications, I will say this: check with the requirements as well as the infrastructure that you have, and determine what would be the best method to use for storing files. So this bonus presentation, we're going to talk about method number 1. All right, we're going to talk about storing files on the server, getting them from the user, storing them on the server, and we are going to be utilizing information from that particular W3 Schools link. I find it funny that they use ASP. They're using Microsoft to do their their dynamic stuff. But anyway, I digress. We'll get back to this. Creating an upload form. Oh, by the way, you know what? I will touch on that for just a brief second before we get, because it's going to be important. If you're out there and you're programming in PHP, you should know, if you don't already, that ASP stands for Active Server Pages. It's Microsoft's language similar to PHP, although quite different. There are pluses and minuses to both. I don't have time to get into all of that. But basically, I obviously prefer PHP, though I will say that ASP does have its uses. There are components of ASP that will tie into Windows, so you can get like username and stuff like that. So there are times where ASP can be helpful. However, I've never actually used it because I typically program LAMP stack, and I typically program for the web. So anyway, okay, to create an upload form. Okay, to create a form, and by upload form I mean a form that's going to receive a file from the user. Okay, to do that, create any standard web-based form like we talked about in several previous units, and include an element that's input type equal file. Name it whatever you want. Put an ID, whatever you want. Okay, the important thing is type equal file. When you do that, let's see if I touch on that or not. Now there's an example. So when you do that, what happens is a text box and a button show, and the text box is the full path of the file that you're gonna that's gonna get uploaded, and a browse button will go with it. So when the user clicks browse, they will have a pop-up box from their browser to actually choose the file to upload. Okay. All right. So here's an example from W3 Schools, full HTML with they put a label, which you could do. You can use the label tag if you want. They label it, and then they put the input tag. Alright, so here are the notes that they specify. The encoding type attribute of the form tag specifies which content type to use when submitting the form. Okay, so multi-part form data is used when a form requires binary data, like the contents of a file. So there's a tip. When in your form tag, you should have enc type equal multi-part / form data, so that it's known that the form is actually going to be submitting some aspect of binary data potentially. Okay. The type equal file attribute of the input tag specifies that the input should be processed as a file. For example, when viewed in the browser, there will be a browse button next to the input field. Okay? Allowing users to upload files is a big security risk. Only permit trusted users to perform file uploads. That's W3 School's way of saying you're on your own. Okay? So basically, it's true though. Okay, you do. And they say they didn't say huge security, they said big security risk. It is a huge security risk, though. Okay, there's a lot of ins and outs that you have to take into account. As we'll touch on the components, and you can start to put together, how there's potential vulnerabilities there. So, okay, now that you have the form that uploads the file, you have to have a script that the form posts to that basically receives the file. We'll call this upload_file.php. Here it is from W3 Schools. Notice they use the file's super global array. And file, in this case, the first index is actually the name given to our file input tag. So if I go back, it says input type equal file, name equal file. That name equal file is what they're using here in files file. Okay, or files file. That file in both cases is the name equal. Okay. Then another index of error. Okay, this is basically saying, okay, if there are any errors, okay, then show them. Otherwise, this is the name of the file, this is what its type is, this is how big it is, and then temp name is actually where it's stored in temporarily by the server. Okay, by using the global PHP files array, you can upload files from client computer to remote server. First parameter in the form's input name, and second index can be either name, type, size, temp name, or error, like this. And it gives you what they are. Name, the name of the uploaded file, type, the type, size, the size, temp name, the name of the temporary copy, and error code resulting from file upload. It's a very simple way of uploading files for security reasons. You should always add restrictions to what the user is allowed to upload. Notice you should sanitize the size, the type, where the files can be written to, potentially the names of the files, all that jazz. Okay, restrictions on upload. So what they're doing now is they're taking, it's also from W3 Schools, they're taking the basic upload script and adding restrictions. In this script, we add some restrictions that says the user may only upload GIF or JPEG files, and the file size must be under 20 kilobytes. Okay, so size is specified in bytes, and what you're doing here is if the file type is a GIF, or the file type is image JPEG, or the file type is image PJPEG, and notice they put appropriate parentheses around to group the ors and the ends. Okay, and the size is less than 20 kilobytes. Handle the upload, else invalid file. Or you could say file size too big or whatever, but I wouldn't give too much information. You could just say error with uploading file, and then files must be JPEGs or GIFs under 20 kilobytes kind of thing. Okay. The note says for IE to recognize JPEG files, the type must be set to PJPEG. For Firefox, it must be set to JPEG. I have no idea why Internet Explorer requires PJPEG. I have a funny speculation, but I have no real idea. So that's why they're doing that. They're handling that for browser compatibility. Be aware of potential browser compatibility issues too. Okay. All right. To save the uploaded file. To save the uploaded file, the W3 Schools code spans 2 slides. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll show you the whole thing first, and then we'll break it down over the course of 2 slides. Here's the whole thing, and we'll just span it over 2 slides now. All right. So this example, it says the example above, which happens to be the previous script. It happens to be this script. All right. So the example above creates a temporary copy of the uploaded files in PHP temp folder. Temporary copy disappears when the script ends. That's true. To store the uploaded file, we need to move it to a different location. So to save it, okay, this is all exactly the same. Okay, continuing on that script though. Okay, if the file exists in the uploaded directory, okay, and it's the name of the temporary file, then echo that it already exists. Otherwise, move it. This uploaded directory is the destination. So it's basically saying if there's already a copy that we already moved previously, it was already uploaded, okay, then say it already exists. Otherwise, move it from its temporary location move uploaded files, the function, from, and then to. Okay, there's just two strings there. Temp name already passes the full path, so you're good. And then from current directory, underneath the upload directory, you got to make sure the web browser has right permissions to the directory that you're going to be uploading the file to. Okay, so move it into the upload directory, and then say that it was stored. All right. The else invalid file is the same from this part if the upload wasn't successful. Okay. The script above checks that the file exists already. If it doesn't, it copies the file to a specified folder. Note this example saves the file to a new folder called upload, which we talked about. To view them, you can use opendir. You can pass opendir the path to open, which returns a resource. You can use readdir, pass it the directory resource from opendir, and readdir returns the next file in the directory, or false if there aren't any more files. Now, this is an example from Codewalkers, the trick that says while false not equal to file equal readdir directory handle, and that basically says give me all the files in the directory, give me everything. Give me everything that's there, including, I think it even gets you directories that are there. Yeah, I think it even gets you directories that are there too. So you can write code that says if it's not a directory by using isdir. Pass isdir a file to check if it's of a directory type, and it returns a boolean. So if it's a directory, so you can do this while, and you can do isdir on file, and if it is a directory, then don't do anything. Or if it's not a directory, so you can do not isdir on the file. If it's not a directory, then show it, that kind of thing. One of the earlier scripts that I wrote a long time ago was a PHP script that would let me traverse my path. I didn't like having my web browser, and actually it originally stemmed from the fact I was using a shared server that did not have the option turned on in the web browser to show a directory. Showing a directory in the web browser when there's no index page is a security risk. Okay, so it's best to have that off, and in which case if it's off you'll get a forbidden page if there's no index page. So we created an index page that would crawl the directory, and it would do it this way. It would show you the current directory and any directories underneath it as well, and those subdirectories had the same script in it so that we would go as recursively as we wanted to. One way we did it was using opendir, readdir, and isdir. And actually I don't even think we used isdir because we wanted the subdirectories to show too. But you can break them out, files, directories, or you can tag them with a D or whatever you want in your list if you're using isdir. Trick with crawling directories though is on Linux you have to filter out the current directory, the dot, and the parent directory, the double dot. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And also, I'm pretty sure hidden files won't show up by using these, by using opendir and readdir. I could be wrong because if it shows the dot and the double dot, it may very well show hidden files that begin with the dot. All right, the demo. This is the bonus. So what I'm thinking of doing is showing you the first bullet and letting you do the other two in addition to the first one. I did that for one of the other units, and I think I want to do that for this one, only because I really want to test the amount of PHP Foundation that you have, and I want to get your feedback. It's easier to follow along and do something. I want you to attempt to do it on your own. I think that you have everything that you need to be able to do it. What I'll do, I'm not even going to move the file. I'm just going to ask a user to upload a file and verify its extension and file type for a JPEG. That's that part I'll show you, and then we'll let you deal with the moving upload file, as well as showing all the files that have been uploaded, providing them with links, and allowing them to delete. Alright, so it's actually pretty straightforward. The way you do it is I will create a new method equal post action equals do upload. If I call this upload, I'll call this upload action or upload process, whatever you want. Okay. Now I'm curious to know what directory I'm in, if I'm in the XAMPP directory or not. And I am, so I'll just have to remember that. But anyway, so upload action. Okay. If I do an internal preview, okay, it gives me file. It's grayed out, but I can pick. All right. Whoops. How'd that happen? I did print preview. Okay. Let's see. All right. So upload process. This is what we're gonna do. And I'm only putting the quotes around here because the fact that it's save as type doesn't say PHP. So, all right. So, what I'll actually do is basically this. Okay. I use the file, so if files the file. Okay. What I say to do for the demo? Verify type and extension and file type. Okay. So extension. Why do I care about its extension? I actually don't care about its extension. I can do it though, but that, you know what? I don't even bother for the extension for your exercise. And the reason why is anybody can name any file anything they want, and people that do file checking by extension is just kind of silly. Stick with doing it by file type. I think what I was thinking was I want to give you an example of what was out there, something that people do, but in reality, stick with best practice, stick with the file type. If it equals image/jpeg or JPEG, not JPG, or okay. Alright, here's the upload script. Alright, what I did was I went ahead and downloaded a PNG Firefox logo and a JPEG Firefox logo. So I'm going to upload the JPEG. I forgot a key element to the form. The submit button. Oh, you know what? It's going to do that problem again, isn't it? Alright, this was another reason why I really didn't want to just to do all of them. But let's see. If I hold on a second. Alright, so I went to Firefox and just loaded up the same exact page Um, so I'm going to load up JPEG, upload it. Object not found. Really? Oh, it's called upload process, and I named it upload action. How silly. Alright. I can just hit F5 and it'll ask me if I want to resend, repost. Upload. It's going to upload action. Oh, right. Gotta change the form. Gotta reload the form. Alright. File is not a JPEG. What did I upload? Thought I uploaded the JPEG. You know what's funny? They might have renamed the PNG. Let me see if I can get you. Alright, that's also a PNG. Let me see here. There's a random house picture here. If I browse. Oh wow. That's weird. Did I do something? Let's check. Tell you what, let's... It's a good way to debug. Alright, and it actually looks like it's blank. So what I'm wondering is, did I... Right, see, I forgot the enc type. The multi-part form data enc type. That was my bad. Is that the way it is? Form dash data. Alright. File is a JPEG. Now let's actually see, now that I'm curious, let's see if this Firefox one was actually a JPEG or not. File is a JPEG. Alright, now if I upload the PNG Firefox, file is not a JPEG, and it actually says image/PNG. Okay, so it knows it's a PNG from the header of the image. Alright, so that works. Alright, I think that actually wraps up the bonus. Go ahead and do the exercise, which is do the demo and add on to it, and feel free to post in the forum, and we'll go from there. I will be talking to you in the next slideshow, which is a wrap-up of the course, and I will see you there.